Okay, so I was looking over the documents you sent for the follow-up. It sounds like you're on your way. Sounds like you're kind of got things figured out for yourself.
Yeah,
Only the
yeah,
snacks being the biggest factor. So
yeah.
let me go over the document you sent, which is a follow-up, and then make sure we answer all your questions. All right. So you put weighed myself throughout the day, have kept record of my weight, which is increasing. So how is it increasing? Where are you at?
So I am between 109 and 111.
Nice.
It's a slow increase, but it's there.
It's you're like a small frame. It's not like you're gonna gain 10 pounds in a week or something like that. Yeah.
I know, I know.
More importantly, it sounds like it looks like your blood sugar symptoms and your general energy is being more sustained throughout the day, which is
Way better.
okay. I saw
Yeah.
all my food and add fatty oils, perfect. And your vegan butter and mayo, increase fats, perfect. Snack regularly with high fat protein to continue uphold the strict diet of no gluten, dairy, nightshades. And then I was looking at your daily foods, which look pretty good. Okay, so
Yeah, the meals are always the easy part of it. The hardest was the snacks because I didn't always have access to the types of snacks that worked best.
yeah,
But I managed to get them in when I was back in the States. And so I found several brands that have worked really well for me. And I've been using them consistently, which has been, I think, the biggest help from the last time we spoke.
the oatmeal snacks.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
okay. So one of the things with your lab is like you showed up with high glyphosates. Do you remember? Do you know that?
Or high for what?
So sorry, high four.
This one, the urinary test.
High glyphosate. Okay.
Okay. And
It's,
what does that mean?
it's a pesticide. It's a pesticide. It's highest amounts in corn and soy have the highest amounts. Grains also have them, and oats is notorious for having them. I don't want to like ruin your snack, but and listen, if you check most people in the U.S., they're going to have high amounts of glyphosates. Okay, and it's just something to be cautious of,
Okay.
especially like as you go into um, trying to have a child and you want to have like the best prenatal. Do you really want higher glyphosates,
Right.
in your system? Um,
Okay.
Now, glyphosates are like pesticides that you typically find high, like I said, in corn, soy, and grains, most common sources. But really, any food can have it. It's the most common used herbicide, and um, some people just are getting exposure like everyone else, but their liver detox pathways. There's two specific pathways in liver. They're called cytochrome P450, 1A1 and 1A4, and they clear
Mhm.
this. And some people just have slower metabolism that way. So it's not that
Mhm.
they're getting more exposure; they're just having a hard time clearing it. In other case, like the main pathway that your body uses to clear this is a glutathione pathway. So you can take things like N-acetylcysteine to really support this. If you have some, I'm sure you probably have some. You have a lot of supplements. I remember. But if you still have some N-acetylcysteine, if you take like 3,000 milligrams a day, that would be good. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure if your oatmeal snack, the one thing you added in is the one thing that's causing all this. And if it's
That's
working,
okay. I have a few others that I could have in place of it.
because the first thing is that I was looking through your like this paperwork before your appointment, before we got on with you, and I was looking at it going, okay, fantastic. Looks like Sarah's got her diet figured out. She's got her snacks. She's got her ground beef with higher fat in it. She's eating her butter. She's getting healthy food in her system, snacks, and then everything is looking good. And I go to I go, oh no, glyphosates, super high. And then what's the
Okay.
main? Then I went through your diet and go, what's the main source? Like, what's the most likely source of them? Um, Anything that's grain based, but especially oats can be there. So, and then
Okay.
he started a conversation with tell me, oh, I found the best snack. It's this organic oatmeal. So I don't know what you want to do with all that information, but that's kind of
Yeah.
the thought process I was going through as I was reviewing it.
Right. Okay.
So to be honest with you, I don't know if you really, I don't know if we can directly link it just to being organic oatmeal because obviously it's found in all different types of foods all over. It's not just oatmeal; it's specifically that causes it. But
Mm.
anytime you have high amount of glyphosates, which most people do, you can try to like reduce your load. Most people that are gluten free have removed most things that are really high in glyphosates, and
Mhm.
their sources are corn and soy, which I don't think you're eating corn and soy, right?
No.
GMO corn and soy, and then high amounts of grains, or the most common source of glyphosates. So those are about it.
Okay.
Just
And
be
you said
aware.
how much a day of the, sorry, were you able to write down that?
Cysteine.
N-acetylcysteine, NAC,
NAC.
NaCl, so sodium chlorate,
N-acetylcysteine,
N-acetyl. Okay, can you spell that?
N-ACETYL, and cysteine, CYSTEINE. The short is NAC. Like if you go to any online health food store, the easiest thing to find,
Okay.
the easiest thing to find in the location you're at, than trying to find some of the various glutathione products and all that. And it works very effectively. You want to take about 1,500 to 3,000 milligrams a day. Like you can take 1,500 milligrams twice a day. That would be really healthy for you, and even unrelated to glyphosates, just as a really good antioxidant.
Okay.
You got that?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go through this again. So your diet's good. Your snacks, what does the oatmeal do for you? Just sustains you?
Yeah, it just sustains me. It was just an option that a friend had, and it was something that it was just easy. I can take it with me. It doesn't matter about the weather outside. If it's hot, if it's cold, I can just pack, because they're just big chunk bars, like big squares, call them hunks. And I can just take them with me wherever I go. So to me, it was just convenience. But I mean, if I eliminate that, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to let something like that, bother me.
Again, you might not have to completely eliminate it. You just need to know, like, don't consume that as your only snack,
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely have like the RX bars, and then I found some of the other ones, like Emmy's Organics and
Perfect.
something else from Heavenly Hunks as well. So it doesn't have to be the oatmeals. I have other ones.
Okay, perfect. You get the high fat butter and all RX part, all that. This is perfect. So your snacks you finally figured out. Okay. And then your meals are really good. Eating ground beef, fattier meat and all that throughout the day. Lunch, full meal of chicken, fish, lamb, side of either broccoli, rice, sweet potato, olive oil, and salt prior to consuming. Perfect. Exactly what you need. Full meal of chicken, fish, lamb, and free pretzel, salt, butter. Okay. And then I was looking at your diet, and I was looking at your glyphosate test, and then I was also looking quickly at your metabolic assessment form just to make sure your blood sugar was stable, because there were some issues with blood sugar stability in the past. So this category 10 and 11 are symptoms of blood sugar issues. So like 10 happens when your blood sugar levels drop.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, the only thing you put here is irritability if meals are missed. So that could mean you just have to eat more frequently. Like the time between your snacks and meals may be an issue, or if you miss a snack, that can come out more. And then, other than that, everything else seemed pretty good. So probably the only thing you might want to just not forget is to not miss your snacks, and then really think about the timing between your meals and snacks, just so you
consistency.
This irritability there. Okay. And then if we kind of look through the main things here. So that was like really good to hear. I mean, good to read when I was going through your stuff here. Okay. Which parts? Okay. So that's good. Do you feel a lot better?
I feel a lot better.
What do you think was the biggest thing? Getting the snacks figured out?
I think the snacks, that was really the main thing. Because I would feel good when I had my meal, and then it would just go downhill from there. And so it was really the snacks, because the snacks, I can't be eating the same thing I eat for food. My body just needed a change. There's like only so much chicken I can have a day, or beef, or, it's tiring. So once I figured those out, it was a huge boost for me.
And how long have you been consistent now?
Over a month.
I would say about 4 weeks or so.
Yeah, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
Over a month.
And it's not hard for you? You got used to it?
Totally used to it. Yeah.
The key thing is, like, it's gonna, as you continue to do it, your adrenal gland function is going to start to recover. Your feedback loops are going to optimize. So there's like a far-reaching effect on your endocrine system, and then also with your patterns of autoimmunity. One of the major triggers for autoimmunity is blood sugar fluctuations. So you kind of get that under control. And, when we look at your history the past year, we know like you're extremely susceptible to stress when you were in that workload, where your whole gut and brain and everything got flared up with that event.
Yeah, that was the worst flare up I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But I realized that if I, like what you told me about taking the fish oil and the turmeric pills, like that's been my absolute savior. That has been a savior. And then I take L-glutamine regularly, like at least once a day. And that has helped me tremendously. So I feel like those in and of itself has just allowed my body to regulate while having the snacks.
Perfect. Yeah, you put this
Yeah.
on your fish oil, turmeric, and savor, keep my inflammation down. So what do you notice with your inflammation when you take them? Is it swelling in your body or what?
Yeah, I don't. So if I don't take it, I'm actually fine. But I just kind of take it so in case I do happen to have any cross contamination, especially like with pork, because I've not been able to have pork since last year. Like if a spoon gets used on, like when I'm cooking, I have to keep like the spoon separate for him, for his food than mine and this and that. So if anything is cross contaminated, I feel like that just kind of helps prevent it from taking it to the next level. It just makes it a lot more manageable. So if I miss a day or two, like I was traveling and I didn't have it at all for the whole 10 days, 2 weeks, and I was totally fine. But just having it at home, even if I just have them once a day, like a small amount, it's just helpful. It just helps. I think it's kept my system a lot less inflamed, if not at all. And I haven't really felt this good in a really long time.
That's fun. That's wonderful. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I mean, a lot of people with autoimmunity will take things like anti-inflammatories on a daily basis, just because there's some degree of inflammation just from having autoimmunity that occurs.
Yeah, and those are the best for anti-inflammatories that you would recommend?
I think they're the top. Like when you see what most people respond to, they're for sure the antioxidants, flavonoids, with the most amount of good research, like phenomenal research. Like if someone was a skeptic and you go, well, here's the pile of research. And so, like take a look at that and then really think about what you're saying.
Right.
So, okay. But for most, so I can tell you because of that, I tend to recommend those a lot. And just for most people, they seem to have benefits. And it's beyond just your like autoimmunity. Like it has neuroprotective benefits, cardiovascular benefits,
Right.
It has bone density prevention, let's see, osteoporosis prevention benefits. Okay, so no new symptoms. Great, feel great. Just really want to go 115, 118. You're on your way. Sounds good. Do you want to do any muscle training? Can you do any muscle strength training?
So now, yes. When we last spoke, I know you had mentioned that, and I waited a little bit because I was still like a little skeptical, but I'm very proud of myself. When I was traveling recently, I took a very long bike ride. He's laughing because it was just a bike ride, but I was proud of myself because I went from 72nd Street to 11th Street, like all the way down in Miami on a bike. And if I had done that months ago, my flare up would have put me to tears within 2 days after that. And I felt great. I didn't have any flare up or anything. I mean, nothing normal, nothing beyond just being lightly sore. So at that point, I told myself, okay, now I can really do weight training. So I haven't started yet, but I have the weights. I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
I can definitely
go slow and listen to your body. And there's this huge explosion of research now on muscles. And they find like muscles are actually releasing these messengers called myokines. And these myokines like modulate the neuroendocrine immune system. And because it's like one of the first things that they found is like people that were when men and women that were overweight but they had muscles, they wouldn't develop the pre-diabetes patterns if they had muscle. And like what is happening? And then that led into a huge area of research. And then they start to realize, wow, all these muscle messengers called myokines have huge impacts on the neuroendocrine immune system. And it's going to be the way to gain some weight and also improve your overall health, so.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
So that's good. Yeah. Bad breath. And then that's the only one. We'll take that. This is something we can definitely take compared to the others. The most common cause is actually hypochlorhydria, just not having enough hydrochloric acid. And
yeah, okay.
So we have the betaine HCl pills. Would that be?
Would be it. Basically, smell, odor is bacteria.
Okay.
And like upper GI bacteria, it smells. And one of the things that neutralizes that bacteria and the smell is hydrochloric acid. So you can just take betaine HCl with your meals. And sometimes it's a clinical indication you need to take it. It'll help you digest your food. That's most common. The other possibilities, like if you have like a cavity or some bacteria in your mouth or tooth that need to be investigated, that's another common cause for bad breath. But that's something you would know more than I would. Do you have any cavities or bad feelings or?
Can we chat right now or no?
So it's a hard time. No.
Kidding. Sorry.
No.
I hope to have solid plans for my next steps in my health journey based on results of my latest lab work. Okay.
Yeah, Sharon was saying that, sorry, Susan was saying that, I think it was a Cyrex that wasn't available yet. She said she'll send you a text if it was, but she had checked again prior to our appointment and it wasn't available.
Okay. I know we want to do like she told me about the pesticide panel, and the pesticide panel and the Cyrex rate 12. Those were looking for chemicals, because that was kind of, as we went into like goals, one of our goals was just to kind of improve how you feel and your health and your autoimmune modulation and all that, which I think you figured out how to do for yourself. And as long as you keep your stress, levels to where you can tolerate them, some people with autoimmunity, stress doesn't really do things for them. For other people, it's devastating. For you, it's definitely devastating. Your blood sugar roller coaster ride is something that it's definitely not good for you. So once you figure those out, that's great. And then as you get more normal weight, the other thing is body fat. Adipocytes, they release adipokines, these protein messengers too, that really help modulate the neuroendocrine immune system. So, all those things help your physiology do the things it needs to do. So after we get past that, then I was like, okay, you guys want to start a family. What's the best prenatal stuff? Or the most important prenatal stuff is for you to be healthy, which you're on your way. And, that's a big deal. And then also normal weight is really important, because underweight is very high risk for some complications in pregnancy, including having an underweight child, right? And so you really want to get your weight up to normal levels. You're almost there. Healthy, normal weight, and then go for the pregnancy. And one part of a prenatal care, which besides getting healthy, is to look for chemicals. So the pesticide panel that we typically run, I guess the lab that's doing it couldn't get some of their reagents. I don't know why, but I guess we're on hold with that. And the chemical antibody test. So there must be something happening with chemical reagents for testing, right, when you want to know your information. We do have some glyphosates, but even if you had pesticides, if you just start taking N-acetylcysteine, that helps clear out most of the pesticides. The support pathway. And then obviously we'll wait to see what the results are. There can be some specific ones you're having reactions to. The Cyrex one is different than the urinary one. There's two tests I wanted you to do. One was the urinary pesticide panel. It's one part of it was the glyphosate one you had back, but they check for other organic solvents and pesticides too. So you get a bigger picture, make sure you're not dealing with those issues. It's probably you probably have high amounts of these other chemicals in you, because when you see one, you usually see others. And since glyphosate you probably have some. And the best thing you can do is just actually move and exercise that turns on your biotransformation detox pathways, sweat, and then take some N-acetylcysteine. Those will be good.
I can't sweat. That's a challenge too, but
okay. Well, even if you don't feel like you're sweating, you're still optimizing your biotransformation.
A little bit is better than nothing. Yeah. Did you have to see the labs back? You have a lab core?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, whenever you're ready, I just wanted to double check.
Yep. I know I know you want to cover that, but that's part of the labs that we want to get back from that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no rush. Okay, so really, like what you were saying about the NAC, that should clear a number of the different chemicals.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a phase 1, phase 2 pathway, support both pathways for most organic solvents and pesticides. It's the key pathway you need to be activated, and it's for sure the key pathway for glyphosates.
Okay. And would you say that I would have to redo a test like that before I get pregnant or at the beginning of pregnancy? Like, do you recommend a retest to see where somebody is?
Well, it's kind of one of those things where if you test most people, a high percentage of people are going to have some levels. Okay. And there's a point of like being like extra careful, and there's people that have very, very high levels of chemicals and they have children healthy, no problem. It's not like, oh my God, this is high, this is going to ruin everything. It's not like
that.
Right. I guarantee you, if you go to any hospital with mothers that are giving birth and you do a toxicology profile of them, you're going to see stuff all over the place. Okay. So it's not like a powerful signal of a risk factor that you need to do. But if you
something to be mindful of.
Yeah. And if you're already like working through the glyphosate issue with taking 1,500 milligrams of NAC twice a day and trying to get some movement in and sweating, those would be good ideas. And then trying to eat organic if you can. Now, with Cyrex one, it's a little bit different. The Cyrex one you're going to do is going to check for chemical immune reactivity. And if you show like specifically to one chemical, fire retardants or something like that. That could be something we need to dig more on. So it'd be nice to do, but I wouldn't say it should hinder you, for your goals starting a family. Do you guys want to start? Are you guys thinking of starting a family this year? Next year?
No, not this year. We
Okay,
can,
good time. We're good. Okay.
yeah.
Brain
Yeah,
region
yeah.
localization form was all good. I know when you had the worst flare up you had recently, you had a lot of neurological symptoms. You had some neurological autoantibodies in the past, so everything looks perfect here. Definitely in remission from all your labs, from all your
Mhm.
symptoms. And then here are all your general metabolic functions, like leaky gut, the GI, thyroid, blood sugar, female hormones. Everything here looks great. Okay, so more than likely Hashimoto's is in remission. Like you have no symptoms of any hypothyroid or hyperthyroid issues. So I mean, the Hashimoto's Graves for you, right? Your Graves is in remission. Um, so that's pretty good. And you're not being overdosed with thyroid hormones anymore and having your metabolic rate go crazy. In the past, you had high mercury. That seems to be not an issue.
Okay. So that's not anymore?
Yeah, less than yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, less
awesome.
than 5 minutes of zero. It was I think double digits before. So
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
what I
That's
make
good
that
because I
one, we
was
definitely
having
want to make
quite a
sure.
bit of sushi at that time.
And serum mercury is a little bit different. Serum mercury is different than urine or tissue metal levels. It's what's in your blood, so there means some acute exposure. Like this was high, we definitely need to look for like where you're getting your active mercury exposure from.
Mm,
Okay.
mhm.
Okay.
You may have had some exposure at that point that was caught in your blood, but it hasn't built up in all your tissues. But it's fine. We just want to double check that.
Okay.
Those are
Just so you
the,
know, I did not, on that one, I did not fast. I wasn't
need
aware
to.
of fasting. So I was okay. Okay.
Yeah. And those were the main test results. So glyphosates, just do the N-acetylcysteine, try to be organic, get some movement. Everything else you're doing good here. And then let's see, that was the only test, right? Covered everything.
Yeah, because we're just waiting on Cyrex.
Okay, so we can go over that when that comes in. Okay, you're on the right track. Everything's perfect.
Yay. Okay. Just have some
news.
questions. Yeah.
Yes.
So I did check, just it's not a big deal. I had checked off one of the questions for tinnitus, but it's so infrequently, like just on the yes, no part on one of the forms.
Let's
Um,
go.
very
Yeah.
infrequent and it's very short spurts. And then it was much more when I was a kid, but it's so infrequent. But just for the record, I said yes, but it's not much.
Okay.
Tingling, pins and needles every once in a while. And to me, I just take that as a note of that I just have to get up and move around.
Okay.
And then it mentioned like there was a question about coldness or burning sensation. And I thought, you know what, actually it's not frequent, but I used to have it quite a bit. I would get like one of my little toes would burn like crazy. It would really hurt. And I would have to almost like massage it out. And I never understood what that was or what that was linked to, or if that was in relation to that question.
Yeah.
It's not something that's frequent, but it happened to me the other day. So I thought maybe I would just bring it up.
Yeah. For most of these symptoms, you might have some of these besides epilepsy and seizure diagnosis. But for most of these, you might have some of these every day. These are all the symptoms looking for different types of seizures. And
Okay.
you don't have any significant history of any kind of serious seizures, so we're not as concerned about them. And if the
Okay.
rest of your brain region localization form is normal like it is, we're not too concerned about these, unless these are happening as a chief complaint all the time. So
No.
every now and then
Okay.
people are going to get like some ringing in the ear. That's not uncommon. People are going to get like some tingling and numbness down their leg here and there. But if it's
Mm,
always burning all the time, one area, that's a whole different scenario. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, cool. No problem. So for my digestion, so I'm still having the abdominal cramping if I don't take my Imodium. So
Okay.
I just been taking it like now I was taking it every other day. I've been starting to do it like every 3 days. When I had seen a gastroenterologist, he put me on a combo of like a half Imodium pill in the morning and then 2 Peptos in the afternoon. And then over time, I just weaned off of them. So I was thinking of cycling that again, but I thought, well, if the Imodium's working, I'll just do that. Is there an issue with doing that long term? I'm trying to slowly wean off right now.
What does your gastroenterologist say?
Just keep redoing that cycle as it happens. Because when he said that when I was diagnosed with the microscopic colitis, he says that's really the best thing over the counter to do. Don't do anything else unless you absolutely have to. But he's like, I think that's all you're going to need pretty much for life. He wasn't too concerned about it. So it's just that as I've been rebalancing my body, I know I can kind of wean back off and be self-regulating again.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to ask you if you happen to have any comments on that.
I mean, just in general, the general concept, I'm not saying specific to you. You want to get, whenever something is falling in line, everything's working. There's one point of like, don't shake things yet.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel.
And you're like a month, so like
Yeah.
it's solid. I would just continue on letting your body recover and do what it needs to and function. And then as you start to have more, periods of healthy balance and healthy function, that's when you would want to start considering things like that and pushing them as a general idea, as a general concept. But sometimes like even with exercise, like even though you're feeling good this month, like if you start weight training 3 days a week or riding a bike 3 days a week, like you might crash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to go slowly. I mean, the biggest thing would really be to get your muscle mass up. That would have a huge, profound impact on your health in more ways than just muscle strength, because it's going to help you with bone density and like all the things they found, like, oh, muscle mass increases bone density. It's not just because it's muscle training; it's because of the myokines they release, the immune influence they have. So they're really critical. And then a lot of research now is showing, longevity research is showing one of the key factors of how long you live and how healthy you live is also muscle mass. They can almost predict if you're frail and don't have much muscle mass, that you're going to have really poor aging and probably die sooner. So, it's something just to think about as general health. You should have, some good muscle mass. You have to be a bodybuilder, but more.
And then, so just on that same point, if she's talking about potential, and I know we're not saying that we're taking Pepto-Bismol, but then wouldn't the Pepto-Bismol essentially counteract the HCl in your stomach? And then we're saying that we need to take more HCl because of the bad breath. So isn't that kind of a up and down seesaw?
Yeah, that's good. Is it Pepto-Bismol?
I'm not taking the Pepto, by the way. I've only been doing the Imodium.
Imodium, okay. Yeah, so you're not taking Pepto-Bismol. You're not taking an HCl blocker. No, she's taking the antidiarrheal medication.
Yeah.
I
didn't want to throw something else into the mix when I noticed that was working just fine on its own, but I wanted to just ask you.
I think it can, there's no contraindication to taking hydrochloric acid if you're on it, So the Imodium, let's double checking here. It's an opioid receptor agonist with your ulcerative colitis, your intestinal inflammatory, like immune responses. If it's working for you and you're in this period where you're like thriving, you got to be careful. Making changes, don't let one thing throw you off. But I understand your point of eventually wanting to come off, and you may use it when you get a flare up or something like that. So at any point, there's always going to be some trial and error and see what your body can tolerate, not tolerate, and then go from there. Don't do too many things at once, and also really appreciate the periods when you're in an ideal functioning state and thriving, and just try to extend that period as long as you can.
Yeah, that's where I am right now. I mean, I like to have the knowledge, but I'm not trying to jump into different things. Like I was telling him today, I feel so good. I feel so good. And I'm really happy about it, especially too, because I'm on the Accutane. I don't have symptoms other than dry lips, dry skin. Like there's nothing that's affected me. That's why I took a little bit more L-glutamine. And I'm taking the fish oil and the turmeric as well, when I take that medication, and I have no terrible symptoms. I actually feel better this time around on a higher dose on Accutane than I did the first time I took it on a baby dose, simply because my gut health and overall body is just on a much better path. So I was really happy about that.
Perfect. Okay, so probably the best thing to do is just follow up when we get the other tests back. Get to do them and then get them back, and then go from there. But other than that, just do exactly what you're doing.
All right, sounds good.
That's a great
one last question. When it comes to the fish oil and the turmeric pills, is that something I can continue when I'm pregnant? Is that safe in general, like for the fish oil? That's okay.
Yeah, and there's actually studies on that where they find that actually there's more benefits than not. And you're using a supplier where they check for the mercury levels, right? Do you know? Certain brands really do check for mercury level content, like Nordic Naturals or Apex or things like that. So just make sure you're using good manufacturer like that.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. My wife was on them the whole time she was pregnant, all the time through
Yeah.
nursing. Yeah. And she was taking flaxseed, avocado oil, black currant seed oil, fish oil. She was just taking a mixture of all the different essential fatty acids.
Awesome.
We had this whole strategy of developing my daughter's brain and all the fatty acids and all the things she needed. And it worked. She's super brilliant. So
I was gonna say she's probably genius right now, right?
I imagine.
so,
I imagine. Yeah. No. So yeah, you're like the best person. They're so lucky to have you.
we had
And all the
we did a lot with her. But you can do the same thing. Okay. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Take care.
Great to
Thank
see
you.
Good
again.
job with everything, by the way. Thank you. Bye.
Much.